guys, from a podcast called This Podcast is Making Me Thursday Want to Talk to You. And I think and I said, you don't have to tell me what it's about. I said, if it's called This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, you definitely don't need to tell me what it's about. And I'm going on. This is what I want to do.
It's a Seinfeld podcast. It's called This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty. But I thought, this is what a podcast should be.
I just did the Seinfeld guys pod the other day. I came up with
these pretzels are making me thirsty.
Oh,
that one. Shout out. We've done it. I've done it. Have you did it?
I've not gotten a chance to do it yet. I'm looking forward to it.
It's so fun. They're so fun.
When I don't know, it must have shown up in my feed, but I see these guys tweeting about Seinfeld. I'm like, oh, what's this? And I find it's a podcast called This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty.
One of the most popular Seinfeld podcasts is This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, co-hosted by Chris O'Hara and Tony Chula.
Welcome to This Podcast is Making Me Thirsty, the number one destination for Seinfeld fans. This is 2 Up and 2 Down. Here's our producer, Chris, to start us off.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And today we are doing the Hamptons. Oh, great episode. So, Tony, start us off. What's your first up here?
Season 5, the Hamptons. Melman and Leifer. I mean, what else can you say? This got it all right there. 2 of the best writers. Probably the best season, if you ask most people, at least for us. 3 and 5 is up there. But we got to find downs. We got to find 2 downs, and we got to find 2 ups. So let's start with the ups. Wow, where to begin? Listen, so much here to unpack, as they say. I might edit myself out saying that because I can't say I just said that. Unpack. Lot of ups here to go with. All right, I'm gonna go with. The elephant in the room, if you will. It's got to be given. I might as well give it first. The shrinkage conversation. We talked to Melman about this. Larry David gave him the green light and said, use that word a lot. And man, did they use it a lot. Had the women know about shrinkage, significant shrinkage, the whole thing. I'm not going to tell her about your shrinkage. Then Elaine comes in. Great conversation there. Just, I don't know how you guys walk around with those things. It just does. George is he just can't take it anymore. Like a frightened turtle. I mean, everything about that scene is perfect between Jerry and George just talking about it, and George's first George off the bat. Listen, I wouldn't mind, but I was in the pool. And Jerry right away. Oh no. Okay, here we go. I'm sure she knows about it. How does she know about it? And then Elaine confirms she doesn't know about it. Unbelievable scene. I mean, you're watching that live. I used to laugh every time. Probably seen it 1,000 times. You're not getting better than that in any sitcom ever. So I got to give that my first up. The shrinkage scene with Jerry, George, and then Elaine coming in to top it off.
That seems amazing, and it blew me away when I first heard it back in 1994. Because anybody with a pool growing up, especially us guys, we've all gone through it. So yeah, that was just terrific. So great up. Chris, over to you. What's your first up?
And I'd say the dynamic of Leifer and Melman there was critical. They're not like men. They're worse. They talk about everything. That was incredible. So incredible episode here. Like I said, we got to give 2 up, 2 down. Just a little fun fact. Again, 24.5 million people watched this back in 94. Second to last episode of, again, one of the most critically acclaimed seasons in our minds, season 5. But didn't win the night. You know what won the night this night? The Stand, Stephen King, part 4 on ABC. Anyway, long book, but they did a miniseries for it as well. So here we go. I'm going to go a little unorthodox because so many ups. But I'm going to throw our buddy Stephanie Kennedy a bone here and wardrobe. I thought the wardrobes were incredible on this episode. From Elaine's little dress, loved it. And then her hat even, to obviously Kramer wearing his shirts and then even no shirt, the lotion. Obviously, the Jane topless scene, right? One of the most talked about scenes. We talked about Stephanie Kennedy with that. Obviously, those were being covered, if you will, the breast area. To George's tight T-shirt. I mean, it really made you feel like you were at the beach whenever they had the towel, the bathing suit, everything just felt really well done, really thought out. And when I think about this episode, I just think about what they're wearing and great job by Kennedy. It really felt like you were in the Hamptons for this episode. So first up, it's a friend of the show, Steph Kennedy.
Yeah, just like you said, when you think about other Seinfeld episodes like The Garage, the Chinese restaurant, the Hamptons also comes to mind because those are great one location sets that's away from the apartment that was just done so well. So yeah, great up there. Yeah, and definitely mention friend of the show, Stephanie Kennedy, doing a good job with the wardrobe. So Tony, back to you. What's your second up?
A great call out. I actually noticed it on this rewatch. I wrote it down. I loved Kramer's shirt in the last scene that he was wearing. That's an awesome shirt. I thought Jerry, you're right with the Ralph Lauren polo, perfect little Hamptons outfit, and Elaine's dress with the hat, unbelievable. Good call. Rachel, my T-shirt shrunk. Tell us more, Mr. Science. Not my up, but amazing. Second up is again so much here. You know what? I'll take a cue from O'Hara here. I won't go with the obvious yet either. But I use this. I don't know how many times I use this. A million times I use this, and it's a small thing. But George, when he wants the chewing gum, and he does his little thing. He does his thing with his hands and he's chattering. I like it with some gum. I don't know. George caught in a lie is always funny, and then how he gets out of it. And then he just uses his little hands there. Always some chewing gum warms me up. He does it when he's chattering. I mean, what are we doing here? He doesn't know what's going on. He's trying to see her. He walks in on her, all kinds of stuff there. It's just one of those things where the reason why I'm using it as an up and maybe why O'Hara used that is this episode is so perfect that even small things like that are amazing. You're on top of the big stuff that we all love, obviously what I mentioned earlier, and we'll get to the rest, but everything about this episode, including that scene, to me makes me laugh, if not more than anything. I mean, his little when he's I'll be right back, and he's chattering out. I love it. I've always loved it. And it kind of sets up the pool and sets up the pool being cold and that whole thing there while he's at it. So you got to love that too. But George just can't catch a break in this whole episode. That's why I also like it. And that kind of adds to it. And he has to kind of get himself out of that one. So I'll go with that with my second up, the George and the chewing gum motion.
All right, there you go, folks. That's the second up from Tony. And Chris, back to you. What do you got for your second up?
Had that as well. Just adds to the tension with him and Rachel. Just him say, "Hi, Rachel," like in that giddy, like he's like a sixth grader, and she just storms out originally. All right, Tony probably knew I was going here. I mean, one of my favorite scenes of all time. I mean, the many scenes here, but Kramer coming back with the lobsters. I say George was the sixth grader. It's just the joy, the K-Man. Like they're so happy in that kitchen. Everything's going, got the lobsters, unbelievable. This unbelievable. Got the beach, the lobsters. Yeah, we saw Jane topless. And then just elation to deflation, right? Unbelievable. And then, of course, how could you see her before? And then Kramer just walks away. She's got a great body, buddy. And slaps him and just walks away. Like classic Kramer. Only he could say that. And then obviously Jerry and George discussing, they'll pick her up in 10 minutes, the whole thing. As good as it gets, because this is just classic George. The highs, we've talked about this a lot in these seasons 2 through 5. George's highs to just all of a sudden lows. And then to Tony's point, he could not catch a break. Wonderful stuff. He mentioned the shrinkage conversation. I watched this. I laugh out loud as well every time. And of course, Kramer stealing the lobsters, but that's a whole other thing. So there we go. She's got a great body, buddy. I'll take that as my overlying theme there as my second up.
Yeah, great line. So I love that one. So yeah, great pick there. So now we're going to discuss the downs. Should be kind of hard to come, but we're interested to hear what you guys have to say because you seem to find them, even in the good ones. So Tony, what's your first one?
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off that for a sec, when Jerry's face reaction with Kramer spilling the beans is classic, and to Harris' point, the picker about 10 minutes gets me every single time. The way Jerry just like, no, sorry, dude, I got this one. I'll pick him about 10 minutes. Unbelievable. You mean face down on her chest? No, I walked around. That's a great line too. The whole thing, incredible. Listen, downs were tough. I'm not going to lie. I got a couple here though. If you want to start nitpicking. But I'm glad I'm going first because I think this is a big down. I think O'Hara agrees with me on this one. We'll find out. But I got to take it. You got to see the baby. Enough. The lady, I'm done with her. Lisa Mendy, I think that's her name. It's just a little bit played out. Elaine calls it at the beginning, and then we got to hear her again with the baby and the voice, the whole thing. It's a little too sitcom-y for my liking on a Seinfeld episode. She's overplaying this character a little too much with that voice. You gotta see it. I mean, we all get it. How many times everyone used that line? To me, it's too much. This episode is so good, you don't even need that. She could have played that straight and it would have been just as funny, especially with Bergie coming in, a friend of the show, the doctor. You know, they could have done the whole thing with her not using that voice and her not saying the baby stuff. And it still would have played perfectly. But here we go. She's that character. She wants to be funny, a little bit over the top with the voice and the Hamptons and everything else. If I'm gonna knock something, I don't need her there with that voice and the whole baby thing. Gotta see the baby. Yeah, it's too much for me. She kind of overplays that character a bit. I get what they're going for, obviously, but there's enough in this episode that sort of sticks out, if you will, as a little bit over the top, where everything else is so smooth and so, as O'Hara mentioned, so natural. The tomato, the whole thing with the scene in Georgia, all everything else was so perfect, and that's kind of just a little bit grating, if you will. So that's my first down.
All right, yeah, thank you, Tony. Chris, over to you. What's your first down?
Had that as well. Sometimes let me piggyback that on a little bit. I'm gonna rip her husband Michael here. Well, what's he doing yelling at Kramer about the lobsters? Take it easy. He didn't take that many. It was a little net. It wasn't like 800 lobsters like he said his father, was working so hard. It's summertime. Everyone's having fun. Take it easy. Everyone's over that. It was so funny, though. Kramer just sits right back down, doesn't even blink an eye. And then, obviously, Michael throws him under the bus with the cop. Give me a break. The cop is going to come around for stealing 6 lobsters, 7 lobsters, whatever's in that bag. Give me a break. It's a little nitpicky, but, the husband, yeah, of course, got to see the baby. And Michael was such a little tool, runs over. But, I didn't like him sticking it to the K-Man there. Again, K-Man was stealing. I get it. I just don't want to kill him. But it's summertime in the Hamptons. I think loosen up a little bit.
Yeah, I could get behind that one. So, yeah, that's a good call. Tony, back to you. What do you got for your second down?
I agree with that. I mean, turning him in was the last straw there for me, too. My second down is the beginning. The first scene, it almost reminded me of a cold open type scene. I know it's not a cold open. We had stand up, and I'm only talking about really the first 30 seconds to a minute here, folks. I'm not killing this whole scene. I'm not really killing, I'm finding downs. The silk underwear and the little catch up that Elaine has to do to get everyone who doesn't watch the show to know who Rachel is. Oh, we took you back after the makeout session in Schindler's List, right? Like those little things that they move the story along, but they're not funny. No reason for it at all, except that to catch everyone up, right? And Jerry's like, "Oh, I brought a kitschka or whatever." It says because they're so Orthodox Jewish. And then Elaine kind of setting up everything with, "Oh, George hasn't had sex with her." Like, I don't like them talking through those things. There was more like to move the story along. There was nothing in that scene that was funny. You want to give me silk underwear was kind of funny where Jerry's like a little too comfortable, whatever he says there. I don't know. I think that scene was a little bit forced. If I'm going to find a down, it's that first sort of minute there where Elaine's got to tell us about Rachel. If we don't know, they made out there in Schindler's List and that whole thing there. So, a slight down to a really good episode is that opening scene. And I'll leave it there for my down.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Tony. So Chris, wrap us up with the downs with your final one.
Tony's tough on Melman. You know, I won't do that to Peter. But yeah, listen. I think the downs are some lines. Like I'm thinking Elaine talking like after they saw the baby. Looks like a Pekingese. I had to look that up. A Pekingese is like an ugly dog. Like, okay, I mean, I don't know. I think some of that could have been cut. The baby stuff, the conversation of the baby after, just end it. That's fine. We get it. It's ugly. Whatever. And then even like, why would the doctor sleep over? What was that all about? He's a doctor. So that was a little odd, in my opinion. But and then just like thematically, these are a couple little nitpickies. Tony's done with his down. So, and I never liked it, but Rachel just throwing George under the bus. Really piling on him. Like, don't go tell Gene that. That's just a personal problem of mine. Keep things in house. Let Jane figure out if he's got shrinkage down there. You know what I mean? So a couple little things there. I mixed a couple downs in together. To Tony's points, in an almost flawless episode, it's tough to find big downs. So a few little downs there, from the Pekingese to the doctor sleeping over to Rachel throwing George under the bus.
Yeah, all good points. So that's the ups and the downs. Tony, back to you. Let's hear it. Let's hear the grade for the Hamptons.
Yeah, I had a couple of nitpicks too. I'll just throw in because I didn't want to use them in case he was going to use them. But I didn't like the ending either. I thought it was very similar to the beginning when them driving in the car and then George is with the tomato at the end. Could have done without that. And to Harris' point, Kramer picking up the garbage. I thought that was a little weak. They kind of explained the story again, the same way they explained it at the beginning. They explained it at the end, and George gets with the tomato. So I didn't like the two bookends of the episode. Again, we're talking about 30 seconds to a minute of the whole episode. And I didn't love Jane Melora Walters. I mean, a credible actress. We love her in Paul Thomas Anderson movies. I just thought she was a little bit something off with her, the way she spoke so softly and everything. That said, obviously, I didn't knock her, didn't use her as a down, but I had to go there. Listen, we didn't even bring up, obviously, Yo-Yo Ma. We didn't bring up Boudreaux Ghali, nice rack. We didn't even bring up. I was in the pool. I mean, come on. I was in the pool. We got shrinkage all over the place. This is an all-timer. Any way you slice it. I mean, let's not split hairs here. Let's just get to the cut to the chase. The Hamptons is an A+. It's season 5. It's Melman. It's Leifer. I'm not dropping it below an A+ for a couple of the nitpicky things we're talking about here. Even on the deck with Burgee was pretty good. We're looking at the stars, the whole thing there. Brett, sometimes you just say those kind of things. And he's like, wait, what's going on here? That right down to the wardrobe, as O'Hara mentioned. I mean, everything about this episode was perfect. This is, if you want to tell someone, let me watch a Seinfeld episode, I've never seen it before, what's it all about? You might just give them the Hamptons, and if they don't like the Hamptons, then they can just check out right there, because this is as good as it gets. A+, Hamptons. I'll keep it short. That's my grade.
Yeah, no surprise there with that grade, because, I got to imagine that's the consensus, A+. But Chris, what's your grade here?
I believe a friend of the show, Andy Fiore, this was the first show he saw, and to your point, he was hooked. I wrote the grade down before I even watched the episode or took notes. It's an A+. To Tony's point, Kramer with the lotion, that's not sweetening the deal. I mean, every line packed a punch. Of course, I was in the pool. Tell us more, Mr. Science, you mentioned. Easy, big fella. I mean, those dinner scenes, those breakfast scenes, George with the scrambled eggs. I mean, you might like it. Look at this guy. Who knew you know how to make eggs? Jerry, I guess I gotta go. He's all upset. I mean, incredible stuff. I mean, all four, like we said, the big four are on all four cylinders. I love when they're out of New York, right? Or out of the apartment, let's say, whether it's the airport, Chinese restaurant, parking garage, and then to wrap it up here at the Hamptons. I mean, unbelievable. Second to last episode, setting up the opposite, which would be the final. But yeah, easy A+, an all-timer.
So there you have it, folks. The Hamptons. It's a breathtaking episode. A+ is all around. So again, that's quintessential Seinfeld in season 5. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on our next 2 Up, 2 Down.